Thanks, guys. How you going there? J-Man, nice to see you. Harry Holmes. There he is. How you going, brother?
What's up, man? How are you?
Man, I'm awesome, bro. Just first time doing this, so just get used to all the little technicalities.
Yeah, nice, man. It's my first time actually on the split screen as well. It's cool. I like it.
Man, it's cool. Yeah, I seen it the other day, and I thought, man, I got to get Peter on here. I was super inspired, man, by your post about mindset, and the reason is because it's like you use every single thing you could just for that one routine, man. And can you talk a
Yeah,
little bit
that's
about
right.
that?
Yeah, so I suppose the thing I've been thinking a lot about lately is really creating these 10 pillars around goal kicking and the process of goal kicking, and so much about it is obviously the mindset that you get yourself in. And I think there's a little bit of a misconception at the moment around training kicks and then actually kicking in a game. As
Mm,
you know, like it's just it would be nice if it was the same, but it's just not, from experience and from guys I've spoken to. So it's just a way for me that I kind of learnt and built on over the years to be able to be in the best mindset to be able to execute the skill, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, if I can jump in there, like from my perspective, like the thing is that, as you said in your video, it's completely different. You've got a crowd, you're going to feel different, your heart rate's at a different level,
Yeah.
wherever the game is physically. So, I liked your video, how you said it's just a completely different beast. And I fully agree with that, man. And you also mentioned about embracing that and enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess a lot of kickers out there are probably getting the advice of just kick it like a normal kick at training. And yeah, you can't think of it that way. It's not, and you really do gain the confidence from making kicks in games and building and snowballing that way. I find so. With that, you've got to be able to step up and say, "Yeah, I actually
Yeah,
want to be here. I want to take the kick." So, yeah,
100%. And I think I've talked a little bit how the All Blacks finally cracking that World Cup, man. It was all about embracing that pressure and
yeah,
changing that whole perspective on it. And same
yeah.
sense, same thing you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And I mentioned that in my video. I probably picked it up from one of yours, actually. Yeah.
Nice. So
Yeah.
thanks everyone for tuning in. I've been following Peter for more than a year now, and his stuff is just gold for anyone. Um, everything rugby, really. I mean, you touch on really everything, don't you? Really?
Yeah. So I stay pretty narrow with the stuff that I'm into. So I'm goal kicking, kicking, and then catch pass stuff.
Okay.
And then, yeah, wanting to touch on a little bit of the mindset stuff around that and game stuff, because as you will, I get quite a few questions around game preparation. What do you
Yes.
do game
Yeah.
day? How do you handle poor performance or missed kicks? But yeah, I'm not too keen to start talking about front row stuff just yet.
Fair enough, mate.
I'll
Um,
stay in my lane.
and that's where I really loved to get you on and share your knowledge because unfortunately, mate, I didn't make it to the pro level, so I don't exactly, I can't step in those shoes 100%. So getting the perspective of someone like yourself is just, for the
Yeah,
followers there, it's just magical, man. It's an awesome thing.
fantastic. Yeah.
And who did you play for again, mate?
So I played 4 years with Otago
Yeah.
in New Zealand, and then I was in and out of the Highlanders squad there. I never got a cap, and
Okay.
then 2 years up north with the Taniwhas in Northland, and then was with the Blues for 6 weeks there. So
Nice.
yeah, made some pretty cool contacts, but played some pretty good level. Like New Zealand rugby is just one thing that I've learned now is like our standard of rugby is just so high. So many good players. So many guys don't even get a crack.
Oh, that's
That
even
it,
club rugby, right? The players in club
yeah,
rugby is just, yeah,
yeah. So
that's
it's
cool.
insane. Mm.
So if you like, just those tuning in, and we're going to elaborate a little bit more with Peter on his mindset stuff. So preparing for a game, man, is there anything taking it back that you did that people can maybe relate to or learn from?
So I got some advice from Jeff Wilson around this,
Oh, wow.
and he was great. So what he was saying is he did whatever he wanted to do, and that sounds simple, but the way he looked at it is if he was feeling really low on energy, he just need to realize that and say, you know what, boys, I'm just going to lock myself in my room for the night and just clock off.
Wow.
Sorry, I lost you there for a second. And so do prepare that way and just have a really chilled approach. If he was feeling good, he might go to the movies and go for a feed with the boys at the restaurant. my game prep really started the morning of, and I made it quite physical. So whether that was getting, on the foam rollers, stretching, going through a bit of that stuff, and then slowly building. And didn't really flick the switch and get too serious till our team meeting, usually in the sheds. Yeah.
Nice, man. What I like about the stretching is it's something that naturally brings you into your body awareness and brings you into the moment. So I think that's an excellent routine, and I'm sure you appreciate as well that everybody's different. So for those that are listening, we're all just completely different human beings. So like Peter's given what he does, but I'm sure you can relate, man, that were other players different when they prepared? Like what did Wilson do?
Yeah, for sure. Like, and I've played with the guys that prepare so differently, and you can, the way I did it would not work for them. There's a few players that were just blissfully dumb about the whole thing and just were so chilled and relaxed.
Wow.
And that was just how they prepared. As you go up, you talk a lot about homework, so game plans and usually stuff in your notebook. So that's a really good thing. I'd probably go over 3 or 4 times before a game day. Just a little checklist of my roles and jobs and things that I wanted to achieve. And I always had like three focuses for the game. What were 3 things that I wanted to do during this game? And one of them might have been like in the first 2 minutes, I want to run the ball and have a crack,
Nice.
just to get me going, get me in the game and in that attacking mindset. So simple little goals like that for games are good and are manageable, and you can touch on them in a review.
Did that help with your sort of like arousal, anxiety levels, and confidence? Those things.
Yeah, like I suppose as you go up, it's pretty easy to get excited. Like there's a lot happening. You walk into a ground, there's people, there's cameras, there's excitement. It's pretty hard not to get excited. It's more the other way, trying to just stay level-headed and cool and build up. But definitely for club games and club matches, playing in Dunedin on a freaking snowy day where it's cold as, you really need to get yourself up for that to perform well. But yeah, I suppose not putting too much pressure on yourself to be perfect. Like rugby's not a perfect game. You're never going to be perfectly prepared. So just not trying to be too uptight and tense every weekend. It just doesn't work.
And do you find that's where routines can help manage your preparation? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
I actually studied in Otago, mate, so caught a few games at Carisbrook and
nice.
Yeah, so that was great. What about your self-belief, man? Because like getting to that top level is like it's not easy, and it takes it's not only physically but with your mind. It's there's a lot there.
For sure, man, and that was I've actually got that video posted just a little bit about my story. And how I actually missed out quite a few times on selection, and 3 years in a row, just the same phone call saying, sorry, mate, you've missed out. So, I mean, I suppose it's just a matter of staying focused and just worrying about your training, controlling the controllables, and just taking care of what you can take care of. The best thing that I had and got a hold of was a couple of coaches that actually really believed in what I was doing and keep saying, mate, you're actually on the right track. You're not that far off. Like, it's coming. Just be patient. So that would be my key for anyone who's really struggling. You need to find a couple of people that believe in what you're doing, and that can't be mum and dad. Like, they're always going to support you, but just getting a couple of coaches, maybe a strength coach who's actually like, mate, you're so close, just fix these things, or A, B, and C. Get a wee support network around you, because the other thing that happens is when you're trying to crack it and it's not happening, it's pretty lonely. Like, it's a lonely place. And like most things we do in life, we blow things out of proportion and we blame ourselves and internally and just go around in circles. So you need a bit of support from a crew.
Man, I just posted about that, I think, or I'm going to post about that, and it was about just getting a mentor, getting in that environment, and
for sure.
Like you said, getting that self-belief, because like I talk about it a lot, that's what needs to be bigger than the small wins and losses. Otherwise, you're just going to burn up, aren't you, man? It's just too hard.
Right.
Yeah,
it is. and just realizing that there's other boys in your position. And it honestly doesn't matter whether you're playing under 14 rugby for the B team or you're playing in the All Blacks. Like, if you miss out on selection, you miss out on selection. Like, it still sucks. It still hurts.
Yeah.
It's still like, well, why'd the coach do this? Well, he doesn't like me. Blame yourself. It's because I did this. It's because I did that. Like, the feeling actually never changes as you go up through the grades.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's one thing I've probably learned later on, but you don't realize at the time. The feelings are the same, and the same anxiety around misselection or getting selected. So that's why you really just have to realize what you are doing well, realize it's part of the process, and everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
That's why I think like mental skills and mindset, it's just so underdone, and like players should be learning it, man. When they start training, they should be learning this stuff, because it takes years to develop some of the stuff, man, and it's just not, it's nowhere near as big as it probably should be.
Yeah, and I think people that quite often have religion in their lives handle it a lot easier as well. People that are quite often, this is part of the bigger picture, handle things not going well or not getting selected better than people that maybe don't have it. Now, I'm not saying you have to be religious. What I'm saying is that the universe is a funny thing, and everything usually does happen for a reason. You either haven't done enough work to deserve it, and it's just the universe's way of saying, mate, you got to pull finger out and actually get after this and earn it.
I can completely agree, man, and I do think people that are quite religious, they have that deep within them, that deep belief, right? Because they're getting it from what they believe in, and it's there, like it's it's God for them, for a lot of them, and it's Did you have a big picture yourself, or like a big sort of vision, or?
I always wanted to play for Otago, and that was I picked up rugby pretty late. I didn't really start playing really seriously till I was about 20. And looking back, I probably missed a window of that sort of 16 to 20 years of really good development. So for me, playing for Otago and that Mitre 10 Cup was kind of my, I was really happy and satisfied with that. So I achieved the goal that I really, really wanted to achieve with rugby,
And you touched a little bit on your sort of the feeling of anxiety staying the same as you go through, which makes sense, but did your mindset sort of change at all? Like, did you evolve at all through your career as you sort of had more games?
Yeah, you definitely end up dealing with the game itself a lot better, and you're able to handle the moment and actually just be more present on the field. The first few games I played was just so fast. Everything.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The 80 minutes were just gone, and it was just
crazy.
Just a shotgun. But when you have experienced it a few times, you've played in some big games, you're able to really enjoy the moment and just enjoy little things on the field. You start having little jokes with mates on the field. And that's when I'm comfortable in this environment.
Sort of like it's sort of like the sweet spot between, they call it a lot of the times flow or the ideal performance state, right?
Yes, that's right.
That sweet spot. And I'm pretty sure those top athletes, man, they got to be in that zone, right? Because
that's right,
to perform at that level. So game week, did you have much in terms of training with mental skills that you specifically used game week?
Not too much, man. I think it's probably changed even in the last 2 years. There's been so much talk about mental skills. We always had people come and talk to us, 1 or 2 or 3 times a year about mental skills training, but it was always guys that put their hand up and said, hey, can you help me? It wasn't like a set thing. It was something I would have benefited from a lot more as a player. I'm an overthinker as it is, so I overthink most situations. So that was probably my downfall a little bit as a player, as I wasn't able to see, the 20 good things. I was just focusing on the 2 bad things I did during the game. So the professional environment's good as a player because you've got a long week. It's full-time rugby. You can review stuff, look at stuff, video, talk to coaches plenty of time, rather than just that Tuesday, Thursday out. But nothing as such when I was playing. It's more something I've become more aware of now.
Can you, I don't know, like being an ex-professional, can you maybe see where it might be hitting or what the need is, or maybe
Yeah,
5 years, what it might be like? Mental
I
skills.
definitely think, yeah, I think the need is more about pressure and moments,
Yeah.
and I think that's one thing that the All Blacks is absolutely nailed. I also think it's massive for schoolboys now, where schoolboy rugby is becoming such a big event. Like
Mm,
that's having the whole school watch you play rugby
yeah.
and having a poor performance with social media, with getting
Yeah. Yeah.
bagged
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
criticism and Twitter after a poor performance or a knock on over the
Yeah.
line like that. That's going to be hard to handle for a 16, 17-year-old kid,
Oh man.
boy
Oh,
or
absolutely.
boy or
And
girl.
like,
So I think, sorry, you
sorry.
go.
No, no, you go, mate.
Yes,
You
I
go.
think that's where there's going to be a big opportunity, because that's where we need to hit players with in these years 16, 17, 18, 19. Start them there and then continue it on, rather than, oh sweet, you're 20 now we'll start talking about it.
100%, man. I totally agree. And I like to use the analogy with conditioning now, whereas 10 years ago, like it was just starting when you were maybe getting into the professional environment. But now schools, like I worked at a school and we were starting at 13 strength and conditioning. And
Yeah,
I
that's
can
right.
just see that trend as the mental skills really needs to match that. And for all the reasons you've said, man, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
The especially with the young kids, and part of my thing is like mental skills and mindset stuff. You can use it in your life, you know. You can use how to manage anxiety, stress, like you touched on social media, how to go
Yeah,
tunnel vision, how to sort of have a big picture, believe in yourself. Like it's all stuff that can be applied. And you mentioned it, I think the other day on your feed, the same thing. And I think that's huge as well.
yeah. One thing that really opened up me was really thinking about your life in categories. So, we get so focused on rugby; it's the biggest thing in our lives, and it's great. It means that you're passionate and you care so much about it. But when that thing that you care so much about isn't going well, we tend to just focus on that. Um, so for me, one thing was helping with is sort of broke life up into a few different categories. So family, friends, a project that I was working on, whether it was a house reno or something like that. So you have these categories, and three of them might be going extremely well. If rugby isn't going too well, well, the other three are humming along really well. It's
Yeah,
You're able to stay more positive rather than rugby just being be all end all. So I think that's probably something that you can help out with a lot with the mindset stuff. Is
yeah.
yes, we can help your performance, but mindset is more around life and well-being and having every other box ticked so that you can perform really well.
100%, man. Completely
Mm.
agree. And like that's where I get into the thinking that like your being's kind of who you are, right? If you feel good and confident in who you are, then it's gonna
Mm.
internal, external is the same. It's gonna manifest in that way, you know. It's just
Yeah, for
just
sure.
is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's
What
what the
about
All Blacks, yeah. They talk about good people make good rugby players,
yeah,
and
man.
that's a simple saying, but that's more just saying, good people with a lot on and good mindsets and well-being are going to be good rugby players, yeah.
100%. I seen a comment there. I'm not sure who it was. Will the All Blacks win the World Cup? What do you reckon, mate?
I reckon they're up against it.
Everyone's looking good, man, in my opinion.
Not I'm not as confident this time around with the All Blacks. I
Yeah,
really love what England are doing, love what
yeah.
Ireland are doing. Those Six Nations is just unreal nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and with it being over in Japan, who knows, man? Japan might get up.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like the closest World Cup that I think there's been maybe ever.
Yeah,
There's so many good
can't wait.
teams just peaking. It's going to be good.
Yeah, can't
I'm
wait to
about an
watch.
hour flight, mate, so might end
Oh,
up
awesome.
popping over.
Yeah, you
And
should. Def- Definitely.
lastly, Peter, mate, mental weapons. What was your mental weapon, man? Have you had just one weapon that was your go-to under, I don't know, when you
Yeah,
were taking a match-winning kick in the final of the
yeah.
whatever game?
So that's pretty easy for me, actually. My mental weapon it wasn't so much pre-kick, but it was when I missed a kick. So what happened is if I missed a kick, it was for three reasons. It was either because my first step was too quick, I rushed the kick, or a totally external reason that I had no control over. So one, two, or three. Missed the kick, ran back, over halfway, decided what that was. When I got back to the 22, bent over and wiped my boot, and that was it, gone. That was that missed kick gone. So,
And you could just flush it by doing that.
As soon as that boot was wiped, she was game. It was
That's
history.
amazing.
It was done.
And how did you get to that point, man, where you could just flush it?
I used to do it at training. So when I was having kicks, so if I actually missed a kick, I'd have to do that, run over to the other end of the field, practice wiping it and parking it. And it always just gave me this incredible feeling of flushing the kick, and it's gone. Next task. Because, of course,
Excellent.
you've got to receive a kickoff and be a valuable member of the team and organise, ready to go. You can't be thinking about anything to do with the kick. So I dealt with, I just had a cue that helped me get through situations. And I actually used it a few times, like if I had a knock on or something, it wasn't just for goal kicking, wiped the boot and just flushed it, yeah.
That's where, man, cues. For me, some of my, like you've just touched on two of my biggest things there. One is a cue or a trigger, like you said, a physical cue, because when you bring your awareness into your body, it's away from thoughts and emotion, and you were able to do that. And I know that Kieran Reid talks about that a lot. He uses triggers, and I'm sure that the team has different triggers in the All Blacks. The other thing that I think is huge with you, mate, that I've really come to know just in this conversation is your self-awareness, man, is just incredible. And to me, like, self-awareness and mental skills is like aerobic conditioning in rugby. Like, you just need it, man. It's like the essence of everything.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing too that you'll probably find is if a player's not ready to accept the mental skills, for you it'll be extremely hard to penetrate. So I guess for anyone watching this video, like you need to be open and aware of that. This stuff can be the difference between you having a professional career or just being put to the side. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a huge point, because in one sense, like, it's almost gets too fluffy, like, you're dreaming, what is this stuff? And in another sense, it's completely practical, right? Like you've said, you've used everything to get to where you got to.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing with my mindset stuff, and why I did that video is I actually wanted to say tools, like I call them tools that I use, because the mindset stuff can sound a wee bit fluffy for people. So actually giving examples, and I'm keen to speak with other players. I wish I'd actually asked Aaron Smith about some stuff he did in hindsight, and got his call of what he does in games. But tools are so much more valuable than just talking about the overall subject, in my opinion. Yeah.
Someone there just mentioned mindfulness, and to me, that's self-awareness. It's all the same stuff. So if you're watching and your mindfulness is a common word, to me, it's just about awareness and observing, and just having that space and awareness within yourself. Funny enough, with Aaron Smith, I read an article that he had 3 words, man, and 3 cues, and that was it for his whole process goals for playing. Like something like quick look, and that was it. Quick look and one other word, and I just thought that was incredible for an All Black.
Yeah,
to have that.
Oh, mate, it's very simple when you get to that level. It has to be,
because it's so fast.
Simple, fast. You just gotta, and then back your skill. But he's clearly got the skill. So I rate that.
Because they talk. I know Hansen talks about clutter a lot, and that makes sense when you think about it, because you don't actually have really time to think, would you?
That's right. I reckon the hardest thing, and for any coaches watching, is when you tell a player, play what's in front of them. It's such a stupid thing to say. Like, we need to give players tools and things to look for, and load them up with information so that they can make quick decisions, rather than just the age-old saying, play what's in front of you. Actually help them and tell them what to see and how to use it.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
I done a course in Iran as just a beginning coach, man, and that's where I was introduced to that sort of language, and they talked about pitches, right? What are your pitches at the ruck? What are your pitches at set piece? And so, like you said, you can react and, identify them.
Exactly, yeah. Cool, man.
How do you get yourself into a positive mindset in the game? Someone just mentioned that. Have you ever had that, mate, where you were down and didn't feel like playing?
Old Phoebe, she's an Oamaru girl, actually. I recognise that name came up. How do you get yourself in a positive mindset?
It's a tricky one.
I never really struggled with that. Obviously, if a performance is going poorly, you can get pretty down on yourself. I was never negative to start a game. I mean, I just never allowed myself to be negative. You know, you're doing something you love, you turned up, you're with your mates. Like, it's just that was my take. But I do realise there's other stuff in people's lives that are getting them down. But that's more what's happening off the field that you need to do some work on. In game, I touched on the wiping the boot. So, so I definitely having a cue like that. I know Brad Thorne used to squirt water on his face just to flush everything off so he could reset. But give it a try. Like, it's such an easy thing to start in the game. Just say, I'm going to pull my ear 3 times. Like, whatever you want. Sure. Just practice it.
Someone's just mentioned, mate, shaking nerves before a big game. What about, like, did you do anything differently? Or I know people mention rugby players, they just keep things the same so they can. Is that what you do as well?
Yeah. So nerves for me equal focus. So nerves means focused. For sure. And that's how I always looked at nerves. And nerves are great. It means that I care. That was my 2 things. If I was nervous, it's shit at the time. It's such an awful feeling, nerves, but it also was a reminder to me, this actually means a lot to me, and I'm focused about the game. So, and then, I used to love the warm-up. The warm-up was so fun. I used to get out there early. Obviously, being a kicker, you can have a kick, but man, that was some of the funnest kicking I've ever done, is those 10 kicks before a game where you're just so full of energy, so ready. And so that was an easy way for me to park my nerves.
That's exactly what the quote on the front of my ebook is Dan Carter about how you should see nerves as an opportunity to perform. So just what you said there. Yeah. So true, man. Hey, look, brother, appreciate it, man. It's been awesome to finally chat to you, mate. And I love the page. Can't wait to see the other 9 commandments come out, man.
They're coming.
Can't wait.
That's a good, man. I'm sure we'll do this chat again. It's a great idea. So anytime,
mate,
just let me know.
Anytime, brother. Mate, take it easy down under, man. Catch you later, bro.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. See you later.